And I asked for feedback from friends in the industry, and then there's more details down there about how I actually like did it. Like I used Reaper and DaVinci Resolve to like put the whole thing together at the end. I had to get like a lot of sound libraries from like a long period of time, just like building it up with like a crowdsourced library system. And then I was able to like actually build it. But like choosing the structure and ordering the clips early on is like really important to like making it effective. So generally the structure is 1 minute runtime, like don't go over that, and then 4 to 5 gameplay or cinematic clips for redesigning sound effects or music for. And then if you're going to do music, sound effects, or technical audio work, like put them in separate videos and make it like your absolute best. That's the general guiding principles. And you can stray from these, but like within reason. And like people who make sound design reels for their portfolios are really thinking about where are they applying to and what kind of jobs they're looking for. So like indie or AAA, and then like genre of games, there you can make a reel for specifically racing games or first-person shooter games. There's all that, and more generalized reels as well. And then the presentation is super important. So I was thinking about all these things while creating my own, and I just wanted to share mine and maybe help someone out who was eventually going to make their own in the future. I did a lot of research while preparing mine. So yeah, clean transitions, nice title cards are all super important, and of course it needs to sound great. So yeah, I'll go ahead and share mine. I'm pretty proud of it. I just recently finished it about a month ago. So yeah, here we go. I think sound will work.
We'll see.
We'll find out. If it doesn't, that'll be a bummer. But okay, it does work. Nice. What was that?
Is that your laptop playing with sound?
Oh yeah, it's the echo. I was fearful of this. That's okay. I am sharing the window, not my whole desktop.
If you send it to me,
Yeah.
I can share it right now. I can plug the audio.
Sounds good.
I'm quarterly using the chat.
I'll send it in general.
Perfect.
Cool. Yeah, it's just the first
Yeah, pull it up
video.
for you. Do you want it on the screen or just?
Yeah, it does need to be on the screen. Yeah, go ahead and take over.
I'm going to mute our microphone so that we don't get feedback.
Yep, that is 5 minutes. Well done.
Quick.
So questions. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and raise your hand. If you have questions on the stream, please post them in Twitch or on the general channel. You got 5 minutes.
For the
Go.
Q&A channel.
What genre of game would you like to work on the most?
I like 2D shooter stuff a lot, but I'm open to other stuff quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay, so my friend couldn't be here because work reasons. So I was wondering, I know it might be a no, but is it possible that you could like send that PowerPoint maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll talk and I can send it to you or something. Yeah. What's up?
When you go about like creating sounds for that reel, are you using any of the original sounds as inspiration, or are you trying to look at this like clean basically and then go from there?
It depends on the clip. A lot of these games I've played before, so I knew about them, but some of them I did not. So I was like clean slate the whole time. The ones I was very familiar with, it was hard to stray from the original source, but I do like just going at a clip from like not having any prior knowledge. Yes.
All right, comment and question. Comment, sounds well very satisfying to listen to. Question, were the sounds based on like running in engine, or did you start with video clips and then play the sounds to match the timing?
Yeah, I started with video clips, but I tried to treat it as if it were playing in engine. Yeah. Are there questions? Or, oh yeah, you.
I assume you've played, from what you said earlier, you've played Nuclear Throne before?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I could tell those are really spot on.
Yeah. Nico.
You mentioned the clean transitions there. I don't know if this is maybe crazy or not, but it felt like the transitions between clips were very purposeful of like the end of a moment. Or like I almost felt like I saw times when the first clip would swing and right when they would hit, like you almost transition to the next one to show that impact of like a totally different scene. Was that actually was that happening, or am I crazy?
That was happening.
That was really cool.
But like cutting down the action is like a common film trick, but also I've seen that's like a pretty common trick in other reels too. I've seen people do that before, so I was copying other people.
Well done.
Yeah. Not with the same clips, but same idea. Yes.
How do you build up a library of samples to work from? Or are these all built from scratch?
Some of them are built from scratch, or just cobble together from other sounds, but I've been a part of the field recording Slack community for a long time, and they host a crowdsource every month, and it's super cool. You just contribute like 5 sounds, and then you get hundreds of other sounds at the end of the month, which is really great. So I was doing that throughout the year. Yes.
Do you do any Foley work or any interest in doing Foley work?
Yeah, I can do Foley work. I have done Foley work before for a project that I can't really talk about, unfortunately.
Those are the best.
Yes.
How many of these were done with Audacity, right? Like open source free?
Oh, I haven't touched Audacity in so long. Yeah. Yeah. I don't like Audacity. Yes.
What mic are you using for field recording?
I use a Tascam VR40 handheld field recorder, and then I also got some Clippy microphones that I think are really cool. They're I think they're in the UK. They're like used a lot in ASMR videos. They're really cool. I like them a lot, and they're cheap. Okay, I think that's everyone.
All right, any final questions? Oh, question?
Yeah.
What do you use to make your like synthesizer?
I use one synthesizer. It's called Surge. It's free, and I think open source. It's great. Yeah, it's like Serum, but a little harder to use sometimes because you can't really see what you're doing. It's all just knobs. Vital is another great free one that's closer to Serum. That's easier to use for sure.
Oh, what was the name of that Slack thing you do where the community?
Oh yeah, field recording Slack.
Field recording Slack.
Yeah. How would you find it? I think somebody might have to invite you to it. So if you're interested, let me know. And then they're pretty good about getting people in really quick. So yeah, it's a really cool place. A lot of good advice there.
All right, final question? All right, Logan, thank you so much. Okay, next up, we have Jason Eaton with Universal Netcode Framework.
Why are you so big? What is going on?
Careful. There's only so much you can do. There we go.
There were a couple chops.
Hey, Logan. Can I get you to stop sharing your screen?
Oh,
That way we can get.
I closed my laptop. I realized I would just.
All right,
Permissions,
so I need
presenter.
to.
You have roles now.
Jason, are you going to have us all go to a website?
I can. I
That'd
see
be awesome.
3 laptops, so 3 people can go.
As per tradition.
Okay, are you ready?
Well, I guess I could paste the website in there, couldn't I? Wait, do I have to share very specific screens?
If you want
Just,
audio.
Oh, entire screen. Yeah, that's what I want. Oh boy, now more options. Go live, whatever.
All right, you ready to go?
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
See the
3,
same thing.
2, 1, go.
All right, so I've been working on a universal multiplayer game engine. I got a website here. I actually have a company, but I haven't really been working on any of this for a while. I'm kind of more interested in just making a game and not working on libraries, but I have an article here on how it works, so I'm just going to give a demonstration. So, yeah, that's the URL. I can actually paste that in Discord, can't I?
Yeah,
Yes.
paste it on Discord.
Where would I go? What do I?
Voice chat.
Just anywhere is good.
We're in
Chat.
Pizza.
Good?
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So room 0. Lots of people in there, awesome. I got 2 people, 3 people. We'll sit ready.
Is anyone else coming?
3 is good. 3 is good. We
Working
only
on
have
it.
5 minutes.
No, now we got 5.
Everyone ready up.
All right.
Oh wait, more people are coming. Okay. Oh. So they got hit ready. Whoever's waiting. More people are coming in. Great. Where are these people coming from?
did they go?
Oh wow! Actually, because people are online, I just thought about that. Okay. There we go. Wonderful. All right.
Let's
go.
Oh my god.
Don't die.
Who am I?
Oh, crap. Oh,
My,
I think I'm
this
dead.
laptop is not good for this. I don't know why. It's also
Are
someone
you
else
over
having a
here?
good experience.
Yeah,
Actually
I'm
playing.
in the middle.
Eric,
I'm
you-
still alive, man.
Oh, Eric.
Eric,
Yeah, so yours is running really nice. Mine is just running. I don't
There
know
you
why
go.
mine's running so terribly.
Oh wait, I think I'm dead.
It gives the retro vibe. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but anyway, so this actually gives a visualization on how my system works. Like all the little transparent pieces are where like the official state that's perfect is. So this uses deterministic game state. So the game state that's perfect is the little transparent pieces, and then the ones that are like solid are the fast forwarded versions. So all this really does is it uses a really old school algorithm of just syncing the state, but normally over a network you have to wait till you have everyone's input. So you end up getting this delay. So all I do is I take the state that's perfect, but it's a little bit lagged behind. I just fast forward it like 3 frames, and then it doesn't feel like there's any lag whatsoever. And there's just such a simple, fix to that. So now the biggest problem, the reason I haven't done this in a while or worked on this in a while, is I'm having a lot of trouble getting a deterministic math library going, especially for like WebAssembly. Because what is it? The one that was used in Spring Open RTS engines. I mean, I don't think that would work on the web because it has to like do settings in your processor. I don't think you can do that through a web browser. And then I wrote a fixed point math library, but it was really slow. I finally got a fixed point math library I wrote in C++, and I plugged it into one of my other games, but it just went really slow. So I just need a better one, I think. I think that I've seen games that use that have a lot more processing than what I'm doing. So yeah, so I'm starting to think now that I'm going to end up making a Rust server and just have the game run on the server and just like stream delta compressed frames to the players, but using like this timing sequence, because a lot of multiplayer games.
60 seconds.
Sorry, yeah. A lot of multiplayer games use the server as like the official time and state, but I was going to start using a method where the server is actually a slightly lagged behind state, and it feeds it to the player, and the player just fast forwards a little bit. So you're never doing any like complicated rewind logic. You're always just going into the future, and that makes the programming a lot smoother, I find. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Okay, 5 minutes for questions.
Yes.
Well, my first question is, are you going to be working with first-person shooters? Because those are usually the type of games where lag compensation and like server issues seem to matter a lot.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't. I mean, it would work for any dimensional. I mean, not any dimensional, but yeah, 3-dimensional games would work on it. But the biggest hurdle I'm hitting now is just your math library. It's got to be fast enough because you're losing a lot of speed when you're trying to get it deterministic. Even if you're using like a deterministic floating point library, like the one in Spring Open RTS, it's going to slow down a little bit because it turns off all the switches that makes them faster to make it deterministic.
Okay.
So you could still do that in like, I think you could do that in Unreal. So I was trying to get to work on the web. That's why I was kind of leaning toward fixed point math. But doing some streaming of frames, I'm going to play with that next.
Okay.
But if I get a fixed point math library, I'd love. This is like the server logic for this is simple. It's literally like 1 page of code. It's just relaying input, and I could rewrite it in whatever I want. Yes. Or what? This guy.
Sure.
Sorry. Yeah, you had to. I'm not sure who was first. I was looking over there, but
I'm still alive.
So, similar question, do you have any experience or interest in rollback netcode for fighting games? Because that uses a similar deterministic.
Well, actually,
type thing.
this is that, except it's not rolling back. It's just waiting, and it's
okay.
fast forwarding. It's kind of the inverse of rollback, where it kind of just fast forwards it, and it just never rewinds. Like the rollback is like a subset of this, where it's like the way it fast forwards is just by running the game and then rewinding it.
Yeah.
I'm not rewinding it ever. I'm just going a little bit forward with a substate. Like, so you have thousands of units like all across the map, but you're only seeing like a few of them on your screen. You only have to like fast forward the stuff that's on the player's screen, so you just get this huge like speed boost where you don't have to like rewind 10,000 units or something stupid like that. So yeah, it's literally that algorithm, only like condensed, and also for like 64 players rather than just 2. It's really easy to reverse the state for like 2 players. Anyway, this guy now.
Yeah, so I know that like if it ever happens, the dots physics library is supposed to be deterministic. Right. Right. Yeah. I've also been like kicking around an idea that I wanted to hear your thoughts on of basically storing the numerator and denominator as like a tuple and not actually doing the division until you need the answer.
I mean, that's basically fixed point math.
Is that?
That's basically. I mean, like that would be.
Well, but I mean, fixed point math can't represent like a third.
That's true.
Right.
That's true. Well, it does it close enough that you don't care.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so Unity, that's a whole thing I could talk about where, you know, if you have a deterministic like framework you're working in, then this system works. It's already done.
Right.
Like this system is done. Like you can upload your server. In fact, that's another piece I was going to talk about is I was, you know, designing some kind of like crazy network that like anyone could upload their game to and play. I'm just realizing like that's just a lot of work, and like literally I could just give people my server image. They could just upload it freely on Heroku because it's just on Heroku. Like I don't pay anything for this, and look, it played just fine.
Yeah.
So like I could give you the image, say okay, get a Heroku account, upload it to Heroku, and then like post your link in Discord, and suddenly a bunch of people will just jump in and start playing. And it's like you don't really need a fancy like website and all this stuff happening. It's just, you know, all you need is like a chat server that you have a link in, and then you let someone else upload your image. Like I don't have to worry about that at all. If I really want, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to make a game. I'm not worrying about crazy networks or systems like that. Yes.
So I basically exclusively work on local games, so I don't need to worry about all this netcode stuff.
Yes.
Could you illuminate for me what are some of the issues with using conventional Mac libraries? Is it just floating point and precision that
Yes.
cause problems?
Exactly.
Okay.
Precisely that. Nothing else.
And in
That's the only
right,
thing.
that like 2 people might come to a different answer.
Exactly.
The same math problem, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Any other questions? Questions? Do we have any digital questions on Twitch? No, I think we're good. Jason, thank you so much.
Okay. Good.
Perfect.
All right. So next up we have Josh V. Joshland Games. He is virtual.
All right, Josh, this is going to run slightly different. We're going to mute our microphones here so that you can talk. And then we're going to do this weird juggling of muting and unmuting so that we can talk to you. Sound good? Hey, Josh, 1 second. We're having some audio issues. Just one moment.
Is the TV volume down?
No, it's not that. The box accidentally got stepped on.
Oh.
And so it disconnected for a minute.
Rip.
And I got to try to get back. My computer's not detecting the TV audio.
Oh.
So, gonna switch. Josh, can you try now for me? Just say something. Okay, didn't work. 1 second.
So we have a pretty interesting setup of technology here for IGDA and Arbor. This might be a good time to remind you that IGDA dues are possible. If you want to join the IDA officially, and maybe sometime in the future we'll get some of those dues for better equipment.
We'll see. What are you talking about? My microphone's top quality. The solo cup stays.
Are we getting any audio from your laptop?
We are getting audio when it's not connected to the TV. Nope. So we are getting that. We're not getting Discord audio.
Oh, you should kill Discord, I think.
Oh, I think I just heard him.
1 second. Josh, try again. Hello? Okay, 1 sec. Let's try this one. Try now.
Hello.
Ah, got it. Nice. Whoever shouted out audio issues, thank you.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Hey guys, Josh here. You probably know me, probably don't. Indie game designer based in Michigan. Also do some programming. I like Unity a lot. Every single June for the past 3 years, been doing the Toho Pride game jams. Basically, if you don't know what Toho is, it is a very difficult bullet hell series. It's been a staple of internet culture, has a big, large community around it, has some nice bangers. Point being, there's a large fan base, and every year people go organize this game jam. So I participated in it. It was 1 month long, same team I typically do, and we made Mystery Cardboard Museum. Mystery Cardboard Museum is a very simple, story-driven game with photography and platforming elements. So let's see some dialogue here. For the sake of this demonstration, we're just going to skip it all. We're just going to go ahead and just show you off the mechanics. So this entry, while we just kind of breeze through the dialogue, won 11th place out of 31 entries. It won the best concept and the best visuals. Also, you can see it says hell right here for some reason. People notice that. You know, this game could be considered hell by many people. Regardless, for this game, we just wanted to find kind of a bridge between players who like really hard games and visual novels. So we felt like the platforming and the photography elements were kind of that mix, because you can have the Toho fan service, and then you can also have the simple, fun gameplay mechanics. So we'll just kind of introduce the photo mechanic real quick. It's very simple. Goes in the first person mode, snap a photo, and you're done. Jump, throw stuff, and you can go to other rooms. It's also puzzle oriented, and you have to rack your brain to figure out some of the puzzles here, which, oh, and it fell through the floor. But yeah, that's basically just kind of the game itself. Just kind of go around, get the objective from the NPC in each room. It's kind of like an escape room when it comes to like the level design philosophy for this game. But I'm just going to kind of go ahead, play through real quick. A dithering effect there. So basically in this scenario, she wants us to find this balloon from a tree. So just throw it off, jump down, talk to her again, and just we complete the objective. That's just kind of the simple gameplay loop. And then the camera, platforming are all incorporated into it. So with that being said, with the story content, we aim to create a very character-driven story with romantic undertones, with some fan service that players generally of this players play these kind of games. I can take questions now while I play through the game. If anyone has it.
Okay, so we can give questions now, but we're going to do this in this weird juggling back and forth section. We'll take a question from the room, let them talk, then I'm going to mute so that you can talk, and I'm going to unmute so that they can answer. Okay? Awesome.
Just a quick question. I don't know if it was mentioned, but how long was the game jam? Was it 48 hours?
It was 1 month long.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so typically these game jams run for like 2 weeks to like a half a week, but this time around the jam hosts were like, you know, well, I'll give you 1 month. And it was really impressive to see like what kind of entries came out of the long dev time. And it also helped our schedules, our team schedule is actually like really flexible for this game. Although there were still some issues like technical debt, but at the very least, we were able to get a lot of play testing done for the player movement and whatnot. But yeah.
Do any of the puzzles involve taking pictures?
Yes. So throughout most of the game, initially the puzzles seem like, oh, you're just throwing stuff at NPCs, you're giving them stuff, but then we go to this next room, and then this NPC will ask us for particular pictures of things we have done throughout the game. Now, I know what I'm doing because, you know, I designed everything, but a lot of players I noticed from gameplay footage, got stuck on certain parts. And so the play time for this game would be around 30 to 40 minutes. But here is the section where our good old NPC will ask us for particular photos and give us hints about what we should do next. So here's like just a good state where we've solved the puzzle and the fish moves. But yeah. Any other questions?
Questions?
Sorry if you already mentioned this. What was the size of the team that you were working with?
5 people.
Out of curiosity, for this game jam, was it online one or was it just Michigan based?
Online.
What is your favorite song from the Toho soundtrack?
Oh my god, dude. Man, that is a very good question. History of the New Moon, I think. That's a good one. Love that one. I have a hard time picking my favorite Toho character, though. It's like a hard one.
I missed it. How many puzzles are in here?
So there are around 3 puzzles. And then this room that we're going to go through real quick is more like a combat section, but it uses the camera. So around 3 puzzles. So fatal frame time, baby.
All right. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Did you have other people outside your team playtest?
Yes, so a lot of them were either visual novel players, Toho fans, or just regular people who never touched those things in their life. So we got some really good feedback, but I could definitely tell like people who did not generally play Toho had no idea what to do, because when playing this game from playtesting, what I saw was that you had to have an understanding of the knowledge, like kind of the context of Toho and its characters to kind of figure out the puzzles. So it was like kind of a struggle for many players.
Questions? Any final questions? All right. Excellent. Josh, thank you very much. Okay, next up we have Omar. That is Harmony in Discord. Music composition in video games.
All right, I'm going to unserver mute you, Harmony. Should be able to hear you now.
Oh, you're right.
Or
H.
we can hear you. We do have some feedback from your microphone, though.
Oh, okay, wait. Let me see if I can fix it up a little. Is it better now? Is it better now?
No, but it'll be okay.
You ready?
You were muted.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
You are actively now ready.
So, my presentation will be on one of the things I had to basically, the techniques I had to learn when I started posing for like video game. So, background myself, I'm a musician for Dearborn, so I worked on other projects, Broodmother, current project. I've done some freelance work for VM and a System Shock clone. Okay. I've also my own produced 2 albums, right? So I've developed some, at least some background experience with like EGM. And one of the things I realized was that it's a very unique problem world of basic composition about making a song traditional. There's 2 aspects. It has to loop, right? It has to sound good for like 10 times you listen to the song, and it has to complement whatever's going on in the game.
Hey, sorry to interrupt you. Your microphone's cutting in and out, so we're only hearing every other word.
Oh, this is. All right. Do I sound better now?
We could hear you fully that time, so.
All right, my bad. Sorry. So, there's 2 aspects to video game music that you have to particularly keep in mind. Number 1, it has to loop, right? You have to listen to the same song over and over, right? Because you can't, right? So it has to be entertaining throughout, and it has to complement the sounds, right? It can't override all like the
gunfire, the sound effects, right? Or even just draw unwanted attention to itself, right? It has to complement, not override. So with that in mind, I looked at some songs I find a particularly really great video game, right? So we start off with the Doom 1 E1 M1 song, right? It has 9-bar intro with no drums. It's just the main riff. Then it repeats that riff twice, right? Except with drums. Right? The riff's still the same. Then it has a 5-bar outro that just kind of takes us back to the intro, right? The no drums intro, right? The whole song's a minute long, while the Master Puppets, the song that was heavily, E1M1's heavily influenced by, is 8 minutes, right? The Mega Man 2, Middleman song, theme. It starts off with 8 bars, 12 seconds of section A, you know, that iconic riff. And then it switches to section B, a section B section for 16 bars. Then goes back to section A. It's 39 seconds long. And we have a song ahead called Green Hill Zone. It has an intro that doesn't loop. A 8-bar A section, which is the calming part of the song. Section B that mixes up the song. The bass line gets a pitch up. It sort of builds tension. And then the outro kind of takes attention up to the climax for about 8 bars. Only to go back to section A and get relieved by it, right? So there's a sort of a tension and release aspect to the Green Hill Zone, right? And through those 3 songs, I realized some key elements to keep in mind my compositions. Number 1, melodically driven, right? These songs have extremely distinctive melodies, right? That harmonize with the gameplay. You might think it doesn't work for looping music, but surprisingly making great melodies that at least have sections works way better than say having
30 seconds.
Keep the same energy level as well as keep the tracks very short, right? Well, this is my conclusion. The key is making a soundscape that loops. Melodically driven is the best way to go forward. I'm done. Okay.
Thank you very much, Omar.
All right, any questions?
I lost it.
Okay, we'll come back.
What's your favorite software to work in?
If that is a very deep question. I have a bunch of them on my taskbar, but if I had to choose, I have to go with Renew's tracker. I particularly like it. It's it takes the modern conveniences of DAWs, but put them in a tracker format, and I really liked it a lot.
You mentioned that you did some freelance. How do you go about finding freelance gigs?
That is a very interesting question, because what I do is mostly I go to Reddit or some other forums. I basically post, hey, game developer forums. I go, hey, I'm looking for, hey, I'm a composer. Here's some songs I made. Does anyone want to work with me? And then sometimes people go, yeah, sure, right? That's how I found work for the Horror VM. The second game, the System Shock clone, that's currently being in production. That was in reverse. Some guys was inquiring for help on the project. I said, sure, I'm interested in working with you. That's how we got connected. Just a combination of just I guess, selling yourself on forum. That's how I found work.
Have you ever worked on making adaptive music before? Like it changing from environment to environment, but still being the same track?
That is something I plan to work on next soundtrack I work on. I'm learning Fmod, and I think it's really interesting, and I really would like to get into that, tooling.
Any questions? Yes.
How can we find you online?
To find me online, let me see. You can find me at soundcloud.com/mbia, or of course my Discord username, harmony at 6591. I put it in the voice. I put it in voice.
Any final questions? Yes.
Yeah, I have a question from a guy who knows nothing about video game music. Actually, I want to know is that the instrument, like, if you are going to make video game music, will you use some instrument like violin or piano just from the real world, not generated in the software?
I have done that before. Well, to some limited success, because my audio equipment is rather limited, but I have a guitar here that I use sometimes, that I use sometimes to make songs.
What's some of your favorite game music from games you've played?
I guess the three I listed in my presentation, the Doom, Mega Man, and the Sonic the Hedgehog. So if I had to, those are my favorite genre. I guess the either chiptune or rock/metal BGMs. Those are always my favorite.
We do not. Excellent. Omar, thank you so much. Okay, our final speaker, community speaker, is Strider Toll. My game, Bucket of Bolts. Ready to go? Awesome.
Strider, thank you for deafening yourself. Let's give you some permissions. Boom. You are now able to present. You're here in person. Even better. Now I don't have to do the weird audio juggle thing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Let me put the button zeros in there. Right. This is an old crappy laptop, so
that's okay.
All right, ready to go.
Boom. Probably.
Any second now. Oh, I love this. Should I try stop streaming, try streaming again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
So pizza has been ordered. It should be here in, I think, about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay? If anyone didn't get food.
Sweet.
Hey Austin, while we're waiting, what's the Wi-Fi password?
The Wi-Fi password is pretty gnarly. It is right up here. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's the first time I've ever seen a Wi-Fi password be an ad for an event.
An event of last year.
Right.
That's right.
I was going to say it's been the same password.
A last year's event. My general rule of thumb is to blame the IT department. So, I'll live by that here.
There we go.
While we wait for this to load, Strider, you emailed me and I forgot to get back to you. Snag me after the event today. I'll have an answer.
Wow, that's
a
Michigan
password.
Guest seems to work pretty well.
A collective agreed to get the password.
I didn't even know there was a password. I was using my data. So
Hey, how's it going, dude? Actually, not too long. Our building has a tow guy on it, and he's awesome. And he towed me. We dropped it off at mechanic. We got McDonald's. They took it back to work.
Wow. Okay.
And they fixed it. The fuel valve was left open. I got a new engine dropped in, and they didn't replace the valve. And it was flooding my engine when I drove, and then I wouldn't start up. And so, but Chris took care of it. Took it to the mechanic, and they got it fixed.
I had back when I had a Super WRX, the gate for the turbo, the waste gate, just got stuck open. So I went and bought this whole new turbo, and the guy's like, no, it's this like nickel spring. Like, so I called like the Orlando guy I met in the parking lot, and I was like, hey, can I give you back the turbo for like $80 less? And he's like, yeah.
That's awesome. But yeah, no, I was dying when I saw it broke again. I just got a new trans and a new engine.
We're gonna. Can you show it? He's got the email.
Sure. I will be your presenter via proxy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in about 3 minutes.
Are you Discording?
Okay.
I'm gonna Discord.
If you haven't already, say hi to the person next to you. Okay. Find out what they're doing, what kind of games they're working on, and we'll see you in 3 minutes. Okay.
For those of you in stream, I'm going to mute the audio so you don't hear the cacophony that is the show. Now everybody on stream can hear you as well. Sweet. Set this back up. Alrighty.
Alright, so I start.
It's all yours.
Yeah. Alright. So, Strider, game designer, generalist, buck the bolts, video game.
Boom.
This way. There's supposed to be a video here. This is you can just mute this and let it play in the background. So Bucket of Bolts is a platformer about navigating an asteroid field in the galaxy's worst spaceship. So 1 to 4 players have to run around the ship, go to terminals, and then control one piece of the ship at a time. So like one player will steer, and one can fire the cannons, and one can make repairs. The difficulty will scale with the number of players, so there will always be more to manage than people to manage it. It shines the most with like 2 to 3 players in my experience. Along the way, players have to collect these energy crystals by jumping out of the ship and bringing them back in. This upgrades the ship systems and lets you jump to light speed, which is the sort of wing condition here. We also have to avoid asteroids and aliens and stuff. So that's the game. Let's go into I'm going to go into some of the design about it. So I built this over the course of about 4.5 months at Washtenaw Community College. Did everything on it from like the code to the design to the art. But over the course of there, the core design stayed pretty consistent. I took a lot of influence from Super Mario Bros., Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, Mario Galaxy, and Overcooked. I really wanted to hit that like very chaotic, frenetic. You're cooperating, but you're very much getting in each other's way. So the most difficult thing about building this was definitely the controls. So what I learned was, when I went into this, I didn't think it was going to be too much more complicated than like a normal 2D platformer. But in a normal 2D platformer, you know what way is down, consistently. You don't know that here. So the players can orient themselves in any direction. And your controls will, especially the logic behind them, will always get more complicated the more complicated your movement mechanics are. So I had to iterate through them a lot. I went through about 2 or 3 different control schemes until I found one that worked. It's also important to test with multiple controllers because what feels good on an analog stick won't always feel good on a keyboard. I was testing with like an Xbox controller for a while, and I had a playtester play on keyboard, and he thought he got soft locked because he couldn't move on the side of an asteroid, because pressing up on a keyboard does not feel intuitive. But it all turned out, it all worked out well, and everyone who I've shown it to has enjoyed it. If you guys want to try it out, the link's right there, and I'll take questions.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Strider.
I love the jumping out of the ship. That's awesome. Is there any piracy or stealing another ship or finding a derelict ship, or because that's all that makes me want to do it?
So when I was before I had started working on this game, I had an idea for because I play a lot of fighting games. So the original version of this was 2 ships with like 4 people on them, and they have to fight each other. But that was just way overscoped for a semester project.
Yeah. Cool.
So I love that you talked about the controls. Control schemes are always so difficult to deal with. Did you make it so that they can adjust the controls themselves in game, or do you just have it locked?
It's just locked.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, sort of a scope thing, and I think
absolutely.
It was less about like what buttons go where, and more about when you press right, but you're under the planet, which way do you go?
Gotcha.
I think you really captured like the energy, and I think a lot of that is like the screen shake and kind of the art that you've used for shooting the guns. How much of that was tuning? How much of that was like in at the start? Like how do you approach creating that energy?
So I always love to go ham with my screen shake, and in my experience, you want to make your effects always bigger than you think you're going to need. But as for the design of the effects, I only figured out how the game was going to look halfway through. I think I always had some ideas to
go this way just out of scoping, but yeah.
For sure. So more of an iterative process.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
Figured it out as you went along.
A little bit, yeah.
Right.
The player's able to like jump out of the ship and so quickly that a lot of times that engine can like take over the camera, right? Like it zooms away and then everything's moving around. Especially I imagine when multiple players jump out of the ship. Did you find yourself having to kind of struggle to keep that balance so that one player couldn't just confuse everyone else by jumping out and?
Yeah. I think that it only shows up in here for a second, but I had to build a system where, well, when I was first playtesting, one player could just like run off and the screen wouldn't focus on anyone and it was ruin the whole thing. But so I added a little system so that when the players go off screen, there's a little mini camera. Like if you play Smash Bros, when you get towards the edge of the screen, it highlights your character. Sort of a similar system to that.
Gotcha. Cool.
Very cool.
How do you calculate the? I see there's like gravity on different asteroids. How's that being calculated inside the game?
So each asteroid has a trigger collider around it, and then the player is pulled towards the nearest asteroid and then oriented to match it. So you can only be affected by one source of gravity at a time.
Got it.
Sweet.
Okay, any other questions?
Actually, I want to continue like the topic of jumping off the spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the like player is facing some risk if they jump off the spaceship, I saw some red guys that they crash the spaceship. So that red guy, I mean, also hurt the players.
No, actually. I didn't want to have players deal with their health, with managing their own health on top of the health of the ship. So instead, players can actually jump out and sort of bop the red aliens and push them away from the ship a little bit.
Nice.
Thank you.
The trailer's clean.
Thanks.
All right. Any final questions?
Yeah.
Isn't there multiplayer in here?
It is. Yeah, it's local multiplayer up to 4 players.
Questions? Yeah.
Did I add like a secret Easter egg mode where the screen shake and everything is dialed up to 11?
Yeah.
How do you manage the scaling with different level players? Just more enemies?
So it is more enemies and the crystals spawn less frequently. That also happens. It's based on distance and number of players too.
Sweet.
What is your intention for this product? Are you going to put it on Steam? Are you going to make a sequel?
I think right now I was just planning on having it be a Steam, like a portfolio piece.
It's a good one.
Excellent. But I'm not opposed to putting it on Steam in the future with like a few updates and upgrades.
All right.
Sweet.
Well, Strider, thank you so much. All right, so we have about 15 minutes now, and I'm going to come back with Jeremy's talk. So please get to know the people around you. If there is any pizza left, I hope there's a bit. Grab some. Otherwise, we'll see you in 15 minutes, okay?
Also, this is a great time that if you don't have a seat, there should be some extras over there in the pile. If there's not, let us know. And there is open space up in the front sections if you want to move your seat up there and get a little less crowded.
Does anybody happen to have any ibuprofen on them? Or Tylenol or something? I might, Jeremy.
Those of you on Twitch will be back in about 15 minutes. We'll see you then.
education, and frankly, one of the leaders in game dev education in our country. Who's read Jeremy
That's very
Bond's,
nice, thank you.
I mean, who's read Jeremy Bond's book? Right?
I took his classes.
Heck yeah. Okay, who's taking his classes? Right? And
That's not all the
me as
same people, that's awesome.
Right?
Thank you.
Right? So introduction to game design, prototyping, and development. It's been an awesome book. It's used in many classes. And Jeremy actually has taught in a lot of different places. He taught at USC, their phenomenal program. He taught at the University of Michigan. In fact, he was my mentor when he taught there, and he essentially gave us the design we would use for game dev courses at the university moving forward. He then moved on to Michigan State University's #1 game dev program in the Midwest, where he makes a massive contribution. He also runs, who's heard of IndieCade? The Independent Games Festival. Yep, he's part of the leadership team there. Basically, he does pretty much everything. And we're going to get to learn about that tonight. So Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm also, thank you. I'm much worse at organizing than either of these guys. So I'm deeply appreciative to both Corbin and Austin for putting together IGDA and Arbor, which is, as far as I can tell, drastically better than actual IGDA, like main IGDA. So y'all are awesome. I probably shouldn't have said that publicly. But all right, hey, maybe this thing will work. Yay! That's my name. Hi. Hey everybody, I'm Jeremy. I guess I prefer him. Yay. So I'm going to talk about a bunch of stuff today, and it's pretty flexible, and but I'm kind of centering it around tools development in indie dev. As you may have noticed, not only am I the only speaker for the rest of time, I also was a speaker last month until Corbin popped up and helped me out because I had surgery. In fact, I'll talk about that in a second here. So, plan for today, I'm going to introduce myself, but, you know, Austin did that. I'm going to talk a little bit about our program at Michigan State. Some of y'all might be interested in college, some of y'all might be interested in grad school, some of y'all might be just interested in cool stuff going on in our state. I'll try not to talk about it too much. Then I'm going to pull some stuff from the talk that I gave at the Game Developers Conference this year in March. I was talking about tools development in game education, but I started working on this talk and I'm like, man, half that's from my other talk, so I'm just going to show the other talk. Not the whole thing, obviously. And then I'm going to talk more specifically about indie dev, and then there's going to be this weird QA, live coding, whatever. It's just whatever y'all want it to be. So, cool. Hey, that's me. That's what I look like without this. So I wasn't thinking about that, but I'm glad I put the picture in. So I've been a professor of practice at Michigan State from 2016 to the present. I mostly focus on game design and development. Before I was at University of Michigan, I was also at University of Southern California, and I think I counted up like 4 or 5 more schools I taught at. I've actually been a university professor, both full-time and part-time, for like 20 years. I've been the chair of Education and Advancement for IndieCade from 2013 till now. You all heard this from Austin. But the thing I've been focusing on the most lately is this thing called Indie Exchange. If you submit a game to IndieCade, or if you're a member of IndieCade, you get free admission to Indie Exchange, which now is happening at least twice a year. We were going to do more. I had surgery. But it's just kind of like a one-day summit where we bring in people to talk about interesting topics in game development. We've talked about like how do you recruit a diverse team. We've talked about how do you manage a team remotely. When kind of early in the pandemic, we had a lot of talks about how you manage a team remotely and stuff like that. I also have a company that I claim on my taxes called ExNinja Interactive. I do make things, but I'm really, really good at prototyping, and I'm really, really bad at the boring stuff you have to do when you ship. And my background, I have a radio, television, and film degree from the University of Texas, and then my grad degree from Carnegie Mellon is a Master of Entertainment Technology, which is made up, which is awesome because you can pretend it's terminal or not terminal if you want to. But when I was at Carnegie Mellon, I had this awesome team I worked with. We made a game called Skyrets. We actually made it in 2006, but we kind of kept working on it on the side. And we won the Silver Gleemax Award for strategic gaming at the what is IGF? Independent Game Festival? At IGF, at the Game Developers Conference in 2008. Okay, cool. So I also wrote a book a long time ago. I wrote it in 2013, and then I wrote it again in 2017. And that got translated into simplified Chinese and Polish, which was a surprise. And I had nothing to do with those. They just gave me a little bit of money for it. But this is coming out finally. Man, COVID really, really slowed down my third edition of my book. But it is, they promised me that the digital version will be available by the end of August. That's awesome. I hope it's true. And then the print version will be available late September, which kind of sucks, but you know, whatever. And you'll see that the first one was 800 pages, and then it was 1,000 pages, and now it's like over 1,400 pages. In fact, it's so long that we moved all the appendices online because they told me that they were going to have to charge $20 more for the book if I didn't. Yeah.
How much does it weigh?
I don't know. I've never seen one. I've never seen one. But I can actually tell you that my 1,000-page book is narrower than my wife's 600-page book because they put hers on better paper. And the first edition, it actually went from like this thick to this thick from the first to second printing because they're like, wow, that's a lot of paper. So, anyway, I also did this thing that you can't find anymore. Back in 2018, Unity hired me to create their Coursera Specialization for people that wanted to take their Unity Certified Programmer exam. It was based on Unity 2017 at the time, because that's what the course was based on. So anyway, I made like these 4 courses, and it prepped people for the specialization, and they literally just took it offline about a month ago, 2 months ago. Yeah. All right, cool. Hey, this is the most important thing I'm going to tell you all night. So the thing I had surgery for is sciatica. Does anybody know what sciatica is? Yeah, what's sciatica?
Small bone growths.
I think it can be that, yeah. So here's the deal. So I was like, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. There's all this kind of thing, and I was trying to use logic to think about medicine, and they never showed me the images for my MRI. So always asked to see the images, because here's my MRI. These are normal discs. This is the disc that's jabbing into here. This is where all your nerves run through your back. So I was like resistant to surgery, and then I saw this and this, which is not supposed to be dark, and I was like, oh no, I need surgery now. So always ask to see the images. Like in the write-up that the expert did, it's like, yeah, it's probably sciatica or whatever. But anyway, that's the last minute thing that I added. It's super useful. Anytime you get an MRI or any imaging, they can put it on a DVD for you, and then you can find a computer from 1996 to read it. All right. So I'm going to give you just a little bit from this game development showcase. Some of our students are here from Michigan State, which is awesome. So this is what we did in spring 2022. Hey, it's me. All right. By the way, if you don't know about this, you can have multiple personalities in Chrome now, and for educators, it's the best thing ever. This is why you guys are nodding, because you've got your school account and your real account. Like MSU school accounts can't use Google Maps. I don't know why. All right. So the coolest thing is we are actually the #1 public university in the world for game development, and that's the 3rd year out of the last 4 years that we've been ranked that.
Heck yeah.
We were, yeah. I'm very partially responsible for that. Mostly the students are responsible for that. But we moved up from 7 to 6. We've been 7 for like 3 or 4 years, and we bumped up to 6. So that's cool. We had a bunch of cool shit happening. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm just going to skip a lot of this stuff. We actually, following in Wolverine Soft's footsteps, we for the first time ever had a Spartasoft studio like Wolverine Soft Studio. They really didn't get rolling at all until halfway through the semester, but they got a game made and they got it done by the end of the semester. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Wolverine Soft, you know, that's you got like 40 or 50 students working on the same project, and so it's really just tremendous practice in production. Which I was talking to somebody from Sony Santa Monica the other day, and she said that that's a lot of what students are missing is just, you know, they're really good at like, I had an idea and I did a thing, and they're not great at like, no, you need to make this monster exactly the way we told you to, you know. And Wolverine Soft Studios is this really cool thing where they do kind of like deep studies of existing games and kind of recreate all the mechanics and the characters and stuff with their own way. All right, so there we go. This is not. Okay, so I'm going to skip it. All right. So this is like our intro first class. Then we have some 200 level classes. This is mostly what I wanted to show you because this is not me. We have amazing art in our program. This is the first 200 level art class that the students take. This is the concept art class where they are drawing usually on a tablet. And then we've got like a cool non-digital games class that's awesome. I used to teach this, but my buddy Casey O'Donnell took it over. I'll tell you in a second. We do this cool thing where we go over spring break usually to a bunch of game studios in either San Francisco or Los Angeles. We haven't done it for a couple of years, obviously, but we're trying really hard to do it this year. Okie doke. This one also this is the intro 3D class. This is obviously tiny apartment building, exteriors. I'm just going through this quickly because I'm trying to actually get to what the talk's about and the character. But this is the very first thing that these students are doing in 3D, which is really neat. Look at that mask. Okay, really, really cool. I love this one too. I teach class in intro programming. This is some of the students' final projects. This was cool. You got a pile of mail and had to organize it and then go deliver it. And so it really mattered that you organized it well. This was a really cool kind of forced perspective class where, this could actually be in front of this one. This could be in 3D, be further back, or game. 300 level courses. So Ricardo teaches this fantastic concept design class. So just look at the quality difference between the 200 level and the 300 level class. Really cool stuff happening here. Oh man, Rain stuff is so good. Okay. Yeah. And this is why I stopped teaching the paper game classes, because I created this game level design class. This is actually using a tool that when Austin was my TA, he helped me build part of, right? So this is a level editor for Zelda style games. So this is like Zelda 1 style games, and just some awesome, awesome stuff. And then there's another one that I built for Metroid. Yeah, and there's some really cool stuff like this. Look, created a whole new sort of structure out of that. And I've actually got a video kind of showing how this works a little later. Oh, and it's sweet because it's all text in a Google Sheet. And yeah. All right, this I'm going to talk about later, so I'll skip through this stuff. Oh, and then there's this cool, we do like Unreal Tournament editor at the end. Oh yeah. Yeah, which is cool too. And Unreal claims they're going to have something else we can use with the new.
Where's my level?
Well, I didn't even know you're going to be here. But this is Andrew Dennis's animation class. We have an esports broadcasting class. There's way too much cool stuff to show. There's a Wise implementation class. They actually remade this whole game with sounds that they created. And then we've got the minor courses, which are some of the ones here. I can, since Patrick's here, I can show them what, or maybe it's just gonna. I can't do anything about it. Okay, never mind. I gotta skip. I gotta go ahead. All right, cool. Sorry, I was gonna show Unicycle Samurai, but all right. And then there's these games, collaborative game design. Usually teams of 8 to 10 will work with a game studio. So people that are in the class, what were the studios? It was Bungie and Rockstar, and who are the other ones this year? Nobody knows?
I can't
Correct.
remember.
Okay.
Sony had, there was a...
Yeah, Sony Santa Monica, Bungie, Rockstar. We've had Insomniac before, and somebody in Chicago.
NetherRealm?
No. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, but they make Iron Galaxy. That's the one. All right, cool. This was a game called Snap Squatch, where you are a Sasquatch and you're trying to take photos of wildlife without disturbing them, but you can also photobomb the other players. So it's kind of a different take on the frantic 4-player game that we've seen a lot of time. Anyway, there's some great games here, and I'm going to skip them because I'm supposed to be talking to you about other things. All right. Hey, that's it. Thanks for being awesome. All right. Sweet. Let's go back to this. So here's what I'm trying to talk about. Well, how am I doing on time? Because it doesn't tell me.
Oh, you're good. You're
Great.
25 minutes.
All right. Sweet. Okay, so I gave this talk about tools development and game education, and I can always go back to any of this stuff if you want to hear more about it. This is at GDC. I gave it along with my colleague and friend Brian Wynn. Brian's got this sweet game called Plunder Panic that's on Steam and is almost going to come out on Switch. It's so close, but I highly recommend checking it out. It's a little bit like Killer Queen, but you're 12 pirates, and it's just awesome from there. All right, so here is where we get into the actual meat of the talk. So I've been thinking a lot about tools lately. This summer was supposed to be my summer of GameDev, and then it became my summer of sciatica surgery. But the way I kept myself sane when I was like bedridden for like a month and a half was to work on developing a game and to start applying all the things that I'd learned building tools in my class to building tools that I would reuse in my own games, right? So tools do a lot of things for you, right? They minimize mundane tasks, they can automate things, they can empower team members, right? So they can allow your level designers, tech artists, and others to modify your game without, having to find a programmer or bothering the programmer, depending on whether you're the programmer. And you can help kind of create a well-oiled machine. There are a lot of tools around project management, and anyway, I'll talk about that a little bit later. And tools make tomorrow easier. So it's kind of a tool chest for future projects. And I have this kind of growing hunk of C# scripts that I've been carrying with me from project to project to project. And everybody in like professional level game development makes tools, and kind of our statement to the audience at the Game Developers Conference this year was that really game education shouldn't be any different. People should make tools in game education, but unlike professional game developers where they have tied everything from each other, frankly, educators should just be sharing stuff with each other. So, all right, so I'm going to skip this. Sorry. Okay, so there's lots of different places you can do tools. In pre-production, everything from like managing student details to like how do you form teams, how do you manage ideation. When you get into production, of course, you've got like level editors and engine editor tools, project management, tutorials to on-ramp new people. And then in testing, you've got things like, for us, turning assignments, but managing a way for your play testers to give you feedback, all that kind of stuff is a tool. Especially like automated feedback where your game automatically reports what's going on up to a server is incredibly useful. And then assessment, right? So this is, for us, it's just grading and that kind of stuff, right? And then it turns out some of our tools are also outreach for our program. All right, cool. But it turns out most people are developing alone, and probably for independents, that is also the case. The place you're not developing alone as an independent is there are a bunch of people putting insane time into tools and selling them to you for $30 on the Unity Asset Store. So take advantage of it because it's amazing the amount of time you can save. All right, so this was me talking about our Discord that I was trying to start. Okay, so that's Brian's tool, so I'm not going to talk about it. But the whole point was like he built this whole tool to manage his class and his teams and stuff. Meanwhile, I built my own tool 40 feet down the hallway to manage teams and organize people and stuff. And things work differently between them, but we were kind of seeking the same end and really kind of redoing a lot of the same work. All right, cool. I like burn down charts a lot. Burn down charts are super, super useful. You can manage kind of a Trello and a burn down chart at the same time. I know Trello is really, really popular. Burn down charts are really useful for me because, and whatever, they're featured in a bunch of different places, including a talk I gave in 2014. Because they help me answer my most important question, which is like, who's getting the job done? Who's doing the work, right? And so I can look individually and see, like, okay, so this person's making progress over time, but they haven't done anything since the 9th. This person, what the hell? They like just right before I checked, they did 1 hour of work. What's going on with that, right? And that comes from this data. If you who is familiar with burn down charts? Okay, cool. So there's a couple people. The basic idea is you start at the beginning with the total number of hours you think it's going to take to do something. Acceleration, I don't know why it would actually take that long, but this is my example. Acceleration, we think it's going to take 4 hours, right? Then you start burning down those hours. So this person, they thought they had 3 hours left and they realized they were wrong, had to bump it up to 6, at which point I now tell my students to bump up the hours total to 6 so that like we can actually see how long it took. There's a whole description of this in my book, but what this gives you is it comes into data like this where you see things trending towards 0. These are the high-level tasks, these are the like less important tasks, and as long as the red line is below the black line, you're on target. And so it can tell you whether you're on target to actually get done. In this one, we're looking at individuals. This is kind of the average work done, and you can see where people are relative to each other. But also, you want to have something like this. This takes the place of the daily scrum in a remote team. This actually probably developed when you were my TA as well. Because if you got a remote team, sometimes, like, I think that you're working on this thing, but you think you're taking the day off, and so I'm just sitting around waiting for you. So this, you just say, okay, just like in a stand-up scrum meeting, you say, this is what I did yesterday, this is what I will do today, and here's what I need help with. Adding this to your online tracking gives you things like when you see, hey, Indigo, who is this green one I was so worried about, says, hey, project kickoff, look, I'm out of town until the 13th. I'm still out of town, call me if you need anything. I'm back tomorrow, you know, and so looking at this, you can see, oh, okay, that's why they haven't done any work yet, is because they were out of town. I get it, all right. In terms of like assignments, I make lots of tutorials and starter kits for assignments, level editors, that kind of thing. And I want to go in depth a little bit into some of the stuff that we built for the MI330 level design class. Because this, in particular, one of our grad students, Aaron Solon, helped me a lot with these tools. He was the TA for the first semester of the class, and then kind of like the secondary TA for the second semester. We have the 2D NES level editor, like Zelda level editor and Metroid level editor that you saw before. This kind of Grappler project, where we built a first-person platformer Grappler in Unity. And then Tripoli, which was Aaron's master's project that Julian worked on. Hi, Julian. Yep. And did most of the art and animation for, right? Awesome. And this is a third-person level editor engine because it turns out many, many games out there are like third-person character platformers, and we could not find any tools to allow people to develop games with them, or to develop levels for them. So this is a look at how the Metroid level editor works. Of course, there's like the you know Mega Man engine out there and the various Super Mario Brothers engines. But I want something that was very, very easy to use. You just pick something, drag across. You can right-click and drag to select a whole area, and then copy and paste that. And then you just go in and grab the start tile and pop it there and hit play in the editor, and you're playing the game, right? And so that just makes it drastically easy. This is a look at the Zelda one, which is, it's a little bit different. It's not a lot different. Here in a minute, I get into some of the just incredible things people have done with it. The very first time I gave this to students, I was literally blown away by the stuff that they did. And of course, you've seen this before because I did it for GDC and then I copied those slides for the presentation I just showed you. But anyway, but yeah, they did some incredible things with it. Moving on, oh, and the other thing I love saying here about putting it in Google Sheets means not only is it there and it's online, and so with the link anybody can play it, it also means you got version control. And frankly, it means as faculty you can go in and see how frequently they actually updated it, which is kind of useful. So here's the Grappler engine that I built. Oh, sorry, Grappler and Tripoli. Yeah, there's Julian. Yeah, so cool. And this is Tripoli. You're this little raccoon called Grabby. Did we rename the raccoon? Okay, good. All right. And so you got things like, okay, I'm going to go pick up. So I hit the thing, which turned on the pink platform, and now I have to get the 5 coins. And once I collect the 5 coins in time, then I need to get the bottle here. And I'm trying to collect the trash to put in the trash can, because that's of course all you want as a raccoon, right? What's amazing about this is the work that Aaron did in Editor. So you can see here that this is unfortunately shifted a little bit. I don't know how that happened when the student was editing this, but it's Henry Notariani. I'm sorry that my thing is over the credit that I give to people. Hey, thanks. This platform knows that it can trigger things, and you can see it's attached to, or this jump pad is attached to all these platforms which spawn whenever the jump pad is hit. And then this red coin challenge starter, if you clicked on it, would send out blue lines to each one of the coins and to the trash spawn that it would spawn. So this allowed our students they were still in Unity, but they didn't have to get into any code to make complex interactions like that. This is one of the levels from the Grappler project. The blue lines you're seeing there is something that kind of a lesson in tools. Like, I thought it was going to be really hard to make, and then it took me an afternoon to build the basic one, and then I just spent a couple more days adding in like the swoops and stuff. But what you're seeing here is the path of the player with a marker like every second, so you can sort of see their velocity. And then anytime you see the sort of sheet here, the blue sheet, that's where they're grappling, and you can see the path they followed while grappling. Here is that same level that we were looking at from the Tripoli project, and you can see that it's auto-recording every playthrough to the cloud, and then you can just turn them on and see them. And you can sort of see, like, these are jump points. I don't have control, but and you can see like the standard path people take as well as outliers there. So there's a lot of really cool information you can gain from that. And adding that to this project, to those 2 projects, really tremendously aided the students. And it looks like it's playing again. Skip. Cool. There's also micro tools. Like you don't have to make it a big thing to have a useful tool. I made this screenshot, and it literally just uses the screenshot utility that's built into Unity, but it makes it something where you can just click a button in the editor to easily do it. And I posted the code for it to our code club on our Discord server for our department, and within 30 minutes, one of our alumni was like, "Oh my God, can I use this? Because I need this for the project I'm working on at work." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's why I posted it out in the open." But yeah, I mean, even little things can be a big deal. And I made this confirmation button thing that all it does is you click, and then it's like, "Really?" And you're like, "Yeah." Right? It's on the same button, but that was super useful because in the Zelda editor, it used to be like, "Oh, go do this thing," and there was no confirmation, and so you could lose work, right? I track progress. It's kind of boring, but it basically is it kind of tracks progress on anything by changing the text in the button. And I'm going to talk about C# extension methods because they're rad. Who knows about C# extension methods? Woo! All right, they're super cool. If you're a programmer, you should know about them. And what's great about these micro tools is they're easily transferable between projects, and they can build community. When I started posting to our code club, other people started posting little things they were making too, and it was a really great thing, which I should probably post stuff to IGDA and Arbor too. Cool. All right, so there's also all sorts of stuff. This was based on some of Austin's work, putting together the arcade cabinet for U of M, and then we put together an arcade cabinet for us. This was Brian's slide. I'm just going to say it. This is something I did with Eastern here. Yeah, Corbin's at Eastern. Who else is at Eastern here? Yeah. So my wife teaches at Eastern. She is the costume design professor there. And it turns out, there's probably not a lot of overlap in audiences. It turns out that directors are very good at understanding emotion and pacing, and are often not great at looking at a floor plan and knowing what it means in terms of like when it's reified into space. So it turns out all the students and all the designers for all the main stage shows are already working in Vectorworks. So we were able to take the Vectorworks projects into VR at the time with a HTC Vive and put a director into the set that they were going to be doing the show in. The first person we put in 45 seconds was like, oh, I forgot to tell you there's an entrance here, so we need to move this flat back a foot. And that would have been hours of work for the technical director to fix, and it turned into just a note and was never a problem, right? So we have this on Vive, we have it on Quest. For Vive, it's open source. For Quest, not so much because I don't want to deal with the Quest store. And now we're working on another version of it. Utilizing the ability to maybe load models at runtime rather than like baking it in with a compile process. But the point of this is the stuff that we know can be used in so many different places, and it's just like mind-blowing to them because they don't see the things that we can do. When you're making tools, identify a problem. Find a specific problem to fix because focus tools are a whole lot better in most cases than a random tool that does everything. Talk to users, understand their use cases, what they need, find pain points, and try and fix those specific pain points. And does a tool already exist? So going back to the level editor class, well, we need an action puzzle game. Well, man, Portal 2 is this amazing in-game editor. Done. We wanted a multiplayer game. Unreal Tournament editor, though it's alpha and totally broken, it still works better than most actual editors.
I honestly didn't have too much problem with it.
Well, good. Yeah. So existing tools are pretty general. Like a lot of those 2D level editors, like I said, like the Mega Man Maker and all that kind of stuff. Like there's so much that they can do that it's really hard to do a specific focused thing. Finding existing tools is difficult, especially in game education because there wasn't a repo for it. We're trying to make a repo. And when you're making tools, don't follow trendy tech. Trendy tech is great for like students that are trying to impress potential employers. It's great for people in industry, but like most of the stuff that I need to make stuff that I can fix and remember how to fix. So honestly, most of the stuff that I do is in Unity, PHP, MySQL, and like Google Sheets because
Trendy tech?
Yeah, like what the hell? What's Ruby on Rails and what's like just whatever random thing you can think of that's like the new cool thing. Like if you're working in the language Go, like you don't use that very often. I guess mostly what I'm saying is like use the stuff that you know rather than spending 3 months trying to learn a new thing that may take off or may just tank. Yeah. So. Man, I'm so impressed that you came all the way here. Thank you. All right. So anyway, why is this doing the same thing? Oh yeah, Google Sheets. I do a lot of stuff with Google Sheets and then exporting to like comma separate values, tab separate values, that kind of stuff. This is where I talk about the version control in front of everybody else. Build iteratively, iterate like everything. All professional tools are broken. Did anybody take the level design class when you had to use the Skyrim creation kit? Oh my god.
I kind of wanted to, but then you said no.
I mean, you're graduating, you can do whatever you want now, right? But like, all that shit's broken. Actually, in the Skyrim creation kit, like how big is Skyrim? Skyrim's several square miles. The navigation mesh, you have to build by hand. You have to build the triangular nav mesh by hand. Every triangle in the Skyrim creation kit. Yeah. But the reason that those tools are out there is because better than nothing is enough. Your tool doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be better than not having a tool. And you won't know what's needed until you make it. Users are going to suggest features all the time. Build for portability, make things smaller and reusable, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so, and here, this is the screenshot tool. This is added since GDC. This was the original version. It's just drop in, and you check the box, and on the next, on Draw Gizmos, it takes a screenshot. And the cool thing is you can supersize it. So, like, if you're 1080p, you set it to 2, and you get a 4K image. You set it to 4, and you get a 16K image. And so it's the same thing that, like, if y'all are old enough, when Shadow of the Colossus came out and they had those amazing magazine spreads, they were like incredible resolution. You're like, how'd they do that? That's what this tool does, right? But it's not me. I'm literally just using a Unity thing. And then the reason I added this is because you can always improve on it. So I added this thing called an XN is just for ExNinja, like an MB, so Monobehavior Editor Task. And what this does is you just give it a task to call, and it looks for, it's looking for an interface, so it's looking for a specific function it can call. And in the editor, you just click to run, and it runs, and it kind of shows you a checkbox here while it is running, so you can tell, that the task is still going if it's a long task. And boy, that could be a lot better too. Support what you've made. Iteration and support are the lifeblood of tools. Of course, if you're an educator like us, that's super easy because you're going to have to teach that class again. But that means that you scope in tools development time for your TAs and for indie devs. That means, like, everybody should have some time that's going to be developing tools. Like, think about that as you're planning your projects. There's the really famous thing of like 20% time that like Google does. The first company that did that was like 3M in like 1905. They're just like, hey, there's a lab. Go do whatever for 1 out of your 5 days of the week. And that's where you can get some great tools. And God knows that's where like Google Maps came from, and Gmail. Continue to look for pain points. We found that while people are using the tool, it's okay to do releases. Just don't make sure it's kind of backwards compatible so you don't completely break into it. All right, cool. I'm going to skip this part. I'm talking a lot. If y'all have questions, you can ask me then. All right, cool.
Wait, right now? Or like
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I'm sorry, you talk like so fast.
I'm so sorry.
It's
Yes.
good. It's just,
I always feel like I'm running out of time.
No, it's good. I work third shift, so this is my sleep time, so that's probably why.
Oh, no.
So then, I had 2 questions. The first question was, how do you do like the tracking for the character?
I will show you that.
Okay, so
Cool.
that's gonna come up. And then my other question was, what was you had one like when you were showing the raccoon and the Metroid, I think was the other one. What was the 2 program software things that you said? One was like TEE or something like that.
Oh, crap. I don't know.
It was the triple E. It's just
Oh, I'm sorry. Triple E, yeah.
And then what was the other one?
So there was the Zelda and Metroid editors, which were kind of developed in parallel. And then there was like the first-person kind of Grappler project. And then the Triple E project, 3PLE, which stands for Third-Person Level Editor. And actually, my GDC talk should be online. I know it's in the vault. I don't know if it's public yet, but it should be public at some point. And you record this, right?
Yeah, would you like this recording to be available publicly?
Sure. I might want to go through and check a couple of things I said before. All right. Cool. So let's move this into indie development. Very similar to GameDev. I've tried to say that before. We got small teams, we got limited budgets, and it's really important to avoid wasted effort. But I've been personally thinking a lot about what wasted effort really means to me. And there's really 2 very important versions that are directly opposed to each other. One is, I don't want to have to build something again. And the other is, I really don't want to over-engineer something I'm never going to use again, right? And so I think you can avoid wasted effort by really cherishing your time and just asking kind of over and over again, okay, is this the direction I need to be going? There's the whole idea of the sunk cost fallacy, which frankly, as you get older, you realize is more and more of a real thing. It doesn't matter how much time you put into something. Time put into something does not equal value, and it does not equal that you should continue doing it. So just because you've chosen a path, that doesn't mean that you need to keep going down that path. And so I always think about what am I going to reuse and like going back and refactoring, right? So Josh worked with me on a project called Ledbetter that is this awesome word game that I never got around to releasing because somebody else wrote the server, which I finally fixed about a year ago. And the other reason, I'm pretty sure like the main class is about 5,000 lines of code. And it's a hot mess, right? Because it was before I really understood a lot about production, and it's all just like prototype code. And it's like, well, we'll just have an if statement that's going to knock out this 1,000 lines of code. So, you know, like, I'm better at that now. So yeah, but refactoring is great. Refactoring, going back, fixing your stuff, and cleaning it up is really awesome. All right, Unity has so many cool built-in tools. We're always using Unity Engine. Using Unity Editor, you get access to editor window and property drawers that allow you to make things like buttons and different editors in the inspector. However, like, I swear to God, I bought Odin Inspector like 5 years ago, but I finally looked at it. It's incredible. You just like put tags on things and it builds the window for you. And I'm pretty sure that like education and nonprofit people can get it for free. And it's like $55 if not, and frankly it's on sale like a lot. The other thing that I just found, I don't know if this is in here, so there's Odin Serializer is open source, and it is a JSON serializer that is way more robust than the built-in JSON utility. That means you can get yourself into lots of trouble with it, but it can serialize things like dictionaries and stuff. Handles are Unity Editor.handles. Those are like those curved lines with like the blurred edges and all that kind of stuff. They're way, way more useful than the stuff you can do with like on-draw gizmos, where you've got like, you know, gizmos.wirecube and that kind of stuff. And Freya Holmer, who, if you don't know, she's amazingly cool, has this video called Shader Basics, Blending and Textures, which somehow she starts talking about how to do handles, and that's where I first learned about them, and it blew my mind. There's also something in here about, like, what's it called? Material property block. So every time you change the color on a material, Unity makes a new material, and that's why when you render, it does multiple passes because it's a separate material. And a material property block can cause it to do it in a single pass. It's awesome. And she just randomly talks about that in this too. This was part of like a 3-part series where the school she graduated from in like Sweden hired her to come in and do a class. There was just 3 videos of her just talking for 6 hours, and I learned an insane amount from it. She also did this amazing video called The Beauty of Bezier Curves. Cool. JSON utility, of course, in serialize and deserialize classes and structs. They have to be system serializable, but this is so much better than the old XML stuff that I used to do. Really, really useful, I find, for save files and player preps, and I can show you some of that in my projects as well. Dots and ECS. I mean, use it if you really need it. Dots is the data-oriented tech stack. ECS is one part of that, called the Entity Component System. It's the part that doesn't exist. But there's 2 parts of Dots that are amazing. One is the job system, which is Unity was like, well, what if we made multi-threading not a pain in the ass? And we just said, you gotta follow these like 10 rules, and then you can do multi-threading all you want. And it's really pretty fantastic. And then the burst compiler is, again, Unity was like, you know, there's like 10 things in C# that make it slow. What if we just said you can't use those? And they are, with the burst compiler and the job system, compiling like native code that is faster than native C or C++ code. It's really impressive because C# is supposed to be like a slow language. And it's not if you just don't do those things. Javadoc, I don't have an example in here, but I'll show you in some of my, you'll see some really shitty examples in my code, and then you'll see some that are actually pretty nice. This is kind of, it's a way to document your functions so that when you just mouse over them in Visual Studio, it just shows you the information about how to use it. That's how Unity documents everything. And the huge Unity documentation you've seen is actually all written in this XML documentation. People call it Javadoc because it started in Java, and then Microsoft doesn't want to call anything Java, so they call it XML documentation. And then extension methods, like I said, I'm going to talk about. But extension methods allow you to extend locked classes, and they're beautiful. Robert Nystrom wrote this sweet book called Game Programming Patterns. I got the link here. It's gameprogrammingpatterns.com. You can pay for it, or you can go to his website and scroll down to web and just read the whole book. And it turns out that it's actually better in this version because he's got all these like weird asides that have a place to go when you're in this web format. This thing is it's a fantastic book. My good friend and mentor, Michael Sellers, wrote Advanced Game Design, a Systems Approach. Mike Sellers was the person who wrote the AI for Sims 2. He was the general manager of Kabam for a while, and he really designed the game program at Indiana University in Bloomington. I keep pausing because he died like a month ago, and I'm still kind of broken up about it. But this is a fantastic book that he left behind. That if you're interested in like getting deep in the nitty-gritty of systems design, I can't imagine anything better. A playful production process for game designers and everyone. Richard Martian, co-lead designer on the first 3 Uncharted games, then he came over to work with us at USC. Wrote, what? Oh, yeah. USC has money. But Richard is brilliant, and he based a lot of his ideas on Mark Cerny's original like 2002 speech method, where he talked about the Cerny method, which is where we get like the term vertical slice from and stuff. I mean, it's all deeply embedded in what we do. But Richard wrote a really good book about this. And Game Design and Play by Colleen Macklin and John Sharp. This is really cool because it's just like we're just going to focus on design. We're not going to tell you anything about how to make games. They give me a little shout out for making games or whatever. But and then Game Design Workshop by Tracy Fulton. It's one of the oldest ones, but that's the book I taught from at USC, and it's awesome. I should put Art of Game Design on here for Jesse Schell as well. That one's really good too. All right, cool. Google Sheets.
Can you go back for a second?
Yes.
Just go back to the last slide.
Yeah. Nope. Yep. There you go. I was trying. I wasn't like locking the door when you're trying to get out. All right, cool. I love using Google Sheets for like faux databases. Super parsable as comma separated values or tab separated values. Includes version control. So let me show you my game Wordflower. This is what I worked on to stay sane while I was, hurting like hell. Hey, hi IGDA and Arbor. Thanks for coming. Because these release notes pull from the cloud. All right, cool. So just to show you basically what the game is, I'm probably not going to finish it. But if you played Wordle, Wordle frustrated the hell out of me, so I built a better one. So you've got 6 words that are 5 letters long, and they all share the same 15 letters. Oh man, okay, so if there is, oh look, there's 2 Ks. What the hell word has 2 Ks in it? Right, but then you don't wonder, like if the words, I don't know, like mamas, like you're never going to get that in Wordle, right? So anyway, but somebody give me a 5-letter word that you see here.
Stone.
Thank you. That was actually the first one I saw too. Cool. All right, so stung. So you guess that, and what it does is it rotates to which of the 6 words is closest to the guess that you made. And so now, stung. Okay.
Skunk.
Thank you. You're awesome. Hey, and there's our 2 Ks, right? So you can see that the letters that aren't there, they shade out. But also, now we know there's no S, K, or K in any of the other 5 words, right? And so I made a game many years ago. It was shown at like IndieCade 2013, kind of before I joined them, called Coalesce. And you start with this chaos of all these balls jumping around. And over time, you merge the balls together. And so the game got easier, but it also got higher stakes because if you messed up, then the ball would shatter and you go back to the chaos. And what I was trying to do here is kind of get that same feeling of there's all these different possibilities at the beginning, but by the time you get down to the 6th word, there's only 5 letters. And so you're much more likely to guess it. And because you know what letters are possible, this happens all the time. You very frequently will get it on the 2nd guess. I guess I should have opened this thing that like shows like basic, like sort of, hey, it's in the right place and it's somewhere else in this word, right? And it's got this cool thing which you can barely see where this flower image, every time you guess a word, it gets brighter and brighter, and then it becomes saturated after you solve it. So knowing this now, by the way, Josh, I'm totally working on the just-in-time tutorial messages. That's the tool I've been working on for the last week. This is all the pictures, right? Just boom, that's all of them, right? I got some up here for when you do like a random game, and then every date through September something has a specific image associated with it. So what is today, the 28th of July? So yeah, this is the image that we were looking at there. And if you don't know about Pixabay, Pixabay is rad. It's all these free images. And I'm all like, flower, and then, vertical orientation. And I just took a bunch of images. They're all royalty free. They're all like, just use them.
What is the website? I'm sorry.
Pixabay, Pixabay. I have it bigger in a slide somewhere. Similarly, and let me make this a little bit bigger, or a lot bigger. Where's the zoom? There it is. Here you can see I've got version numbers, and so like versions 10 through 12, or 0.10 through 0.12, we'll say these release notes push from the cloud, and I changed that to 12 while it was sitting back there, so you can see it pop up, right? And I have like today's date, and it will say, "Hi, IGDA and Arbor, thanks for coming." It talks about some small bug fixes in the most recent version. I totally have this row hidden because I didn't want my wife to see it, but like I have like a "Happy birthday, my love" to my wife on her birthday, right? So yeah, aw. And so anyway, but these are super easy to pull in. All you have to do is go in and do like share. They keep moving this. Publish to web. You choose like entire document. I have sheet 1 publishing. You say, comma separated or tab separated values. And then over here in the actual code here, I wrote this like XN tab separated values thing. What is that? Do I get button tooltip? Oh, well, good. I don't know why that's not sharing. Oh, I know why it is. It's Discord. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing. Change windows. No, you don't need to do anything. I just need to switch to screen instead of just the app. All right, cool. So this is actually that's a Unity bug, not a me bug. But we've got this tab separated values thing that I built, and here this is the XML doc stuff that I was talking about. So when you mouse over tab separated values here, it's way small, but it says parser and storage for tab separated values. It's all this crap up here. And you can add all sorts of things about like, well, what do the different parameters do and all that kind of stuff. So this pulls in tab separated values or comma separated values and parses them into a like two-dimensional data structure so that I can treat it like a super simple database, just pulling it straight from that document that you saw. And so I have found this to be really useful as just kind of like a simple thing that I built. Cool. Yeah, so that's my game. Oh, I wanted to talk about this. Anybody notice anything weird about my Unity editor?
It's light skin.
Well, yeah, that's because I'm an adult. No, it's because screenshots of light skin stuff looks way better in my book. But also, I have a monospace font. Yeah. Yes.
Where does Wordflower live? If I want to deploy it.
Oh, sure. There's a link to it. ExNinja.com/wordflower, and I would love for you to play it and give me feedback. Yeah.
So when you make changes on the Google Doc, it's pulled without having to make a new build on the game, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Yep. Yeah. No, basically it takes Google about 5 minutes to be like, okay, are you done making changes? Okay, and then it will republish, but it usually publishes in 5 minutes.
Some link to the Google Doc once, and then
Yes. It's like this super random looking link, but it stays as long as you don't like say, oh, now publish a second one of the worksheets or change that. The link to a single worksheet exporting as a CSV is the same every time. Yeah, that really good questions. Can't remember exactly how I did this, but you can go deep into Unity settings and fake it into using the font you want, because it has always bothered me that my console output was not monospaced. So now it is. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. So and I showed you these documents already. Great. Don't just think code when you think tools. Like over here in Photoshop. Yeah, there's my back. But like I had this that I used throughout the entire time I was working on my book. And this is just stuff I used a lot. I had, these red rounded rectangles with the drop shadow that I used all the time. I had these letters that I wanted to be consistent throughout the entire book. Several different sizes of a mouse cursor. And honestly, the one I use more than anything else is this specific drop shadow effect, which is on every image in my book. And they tried to screw it up on every image, but I got it through. All right. But it doesn't just have to be code. I throw Affinity Photo up there because like Affinity Photo is like 99% of Photoshop for like $40 once ever. Slide templates, like this is why it says GameDev to MSU, is because I made these slide templates that I'm using. Personal time management, like just finding ways to manage your time. Austin and I were talking about royalty management for your team. How do you manage who gets what and what's fair, or if you're into making money, what's not fair. Advertising and marketing, I really wanted to do a shout out to this guy, David Whaley. Whaley, I think that's how he says it. Do you guys know this talk? No time, no budget, no problem, finishing the first tree. This is a GDC talk from a few years ago. It is insanely good. This guy, he had a baby and a full-time job, and was able to make basically 45 minutes before dinner, and then an hour at night every day. He basically got exactly 10 hours of work every week, and was able to make and finish an indie game in that time. Mostly because he had done a bad job of finishing an indie game before. He said in 18 months of consistent posting before releasing the game, in 10 hours a week, he spent 3 hours on marketing and 7 hours on development every week. And that's nuts. And man, is that not me. But that worked. Like the first tree is on every platform and sold pretty well. And I think it cost him $10,000 to make, and he made $200,000 off of it. So that's pretty good. Hey, all right, I'm at the end, so I can answer questions. All right, I'm gonna hit the one. Hey, look, it's that extra slide that I didn't believe. Cool. Everybody loves that one. All right. There are a couple of questions that you had that I wanted to hit first. So yeah, there's a question about how that trajectory stuff worked. Yeah, cool. Okay, so here's the Grappler. We'll just open it. Come on. This is going to take a second. All right, cool. Other questions while that's opening? Yeah?
How do you determine when something is worth making a tool over? Because I feel like a very common experience for programmers is let me spend 10 hours automating something that, in total will probably only take me 1 hour anyways.
Yeah, and that's, you just got to be, I mean, it's hard. Like, there's not an easy, again? Switch target, whatever. Oh, okay, I see. All right. It's really hard to do. And my only answer is like experience, and that sucks because it's the worst answer. But that's the answer I have because like I'm still not amazing at it. I mean, the thing that really taught me was looking at my classes and what needed to be done for classes, and that really helped me a lot. Yeah, Josh?
When you're making tools, do you usually focus on trying to solve one particular problem that might be only specific to like your project and then try to make it more general, or you try to make a general tool that also works for your goal?
Usually if I'm solving one specific problem, I try and think, is this something I'll ever use again? And if the answer is no, then honestly I kind of do it quick and dirty, and then if it's too slow, then I fix it, right? I'm sorry, this is totally an aside, but when we were working together, we were working with a guy named Joe Stevens, and we were, discussing for like an hour whether we should do something or not because we were afraid it was going to break the project. And then Joe's like, well, if it breaks, we'll fix it.
I remember him saying that.
Yeah, and I think about that constantly, right? But it's the same kind of question. It's like when is it worth it to try something new? When is it worth it to try something that might break it? But realizing like, how bad is it if it breaks, Okay, so the telemetry viewer here. Okay, so this is not the cloud one. I guess the cloud one is in the other project. But there's the player, and the character controller has this telemetry thing. It's got a lot of stuff on it. Yes, but they're separated so that it's not one gigantic thing, right?
Is it only in Unity to be able to track my character? Or is it
Oh, it's not in Unity at all. It's just something that I wrote.
okay, so it's like a script.
Yeah, it's totally a script. Yeah. And so all it does is basically just log the position and the rotation. That's the other thing that Arrow does every second is it tells you which way it's facing. Yeah, Jackson.
When did you add it, like where it logs the person's swing? Because I don't remember that.
It was near the end of the project.
Okay.
I'll
be honest.
I don't think yours changed very much between the beta and the final. Okay.
It didn't.
All right. But so, I created this thing called like a telem, and it's got how much time has elapsed, what's the position, what's the rotation, and then a tag. And the tag allows you to tag things like jump. And in the Tripoli game, there was also like the ground pound was another kind of tag, right? And so I've got a coroutine that just kind of like every interval will do a log, and then anything for like special events like jumping or ground pounding or attacking or starting a grapple or ending a grapple will just create a log randomly. Or not randomly, it will create a log at whatever time. It doesn't matter what time it happens. And so that, that's basically what this does. It kind of like goes through, and then when it saves it, again, it kind of like it creates a file, and with this one, it actually saves it to a file on the desktop, and it pops up a couple of things. Let's here. I'll show you what it does. This is totally gonna break. I'm certain it's gonna break because I haven't done anything with it forever, and it says missing reference exception. That's usually a good thing to see. All right, like this is a student project. Hey, whoa! Okay, there you go. What's really hard to do is play this with a keyboard, and not a keyboard, but a
trackpad.
Trackpad. Yeah, trackpads are really easy to play first-person shooters with. All right, so we got a double jump. Oh, and those didn't reset the double jump. All right, cool. But anyway, now we've got some telemetry, right? So now I escape and I stop, and you can see wrote telemetry to users JD bond desktop telemetry blah 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 blah. Okay. Oh, this is Shimensun's level. Okay, cool. So now that should just be on the desktop. You're gonna see my desktop's a huge mess. Oh, it looks better than it should because Apple tries to make it look better. Yeah, so somewhere down here there's like documents. And I'm going to hit this and it's going to be a billion things. Oh my God, there's so many telemetry files. Wow, I have not cleaned this up because it just shrinks down. Well, let's take a look at a couple of them.
I remember one time I was playtesting my own stuff, and then I went to my desktop and I saw all those files. I'm like, oh, did I get a virus?
Yeah. Yes, you did. Yeah, so here, this is not going to zoom. Oh, it did. Cool. Okay. So you can see it's just like start, and here's all the positions, and it took that data and it turned that vector 3 for position and quaternion for rotation into 3 floats for position and 3 floats for Euler rotation. Or maybe that is just the quaternion divided into 4. I don't remember what that last one is. But you can see jump, right? And so all these things are just, there, right? And what we can do, this says it's the world shift scene, so that's not the one that we were looking at. But this one, hell, it's one of them. Okay, so then we can, oh, hey, look at that, it's right there. Very nice. So I can take this, the cloud one does it better, but I opened the wrong project for the cloud one. So we can take this and we just kind of drop it into Jeremy Bond telemetry files, I think. Let's try. No, all right, whatever. And then go here, and then if we look at the telemetry viewer, we hopefully can just drag this over to here and set this to 1 and check to reload files. And now you can actually see like the telemetry of what I did, right? Which is pretty sweet, and I'm really glad it worked because I didn't know if it was gonna. Yeah, okay. But you can see, and cool trick for you. So it's only draws when it is selected, but if you add a second window, so if you add a second inspector pane. Oh, I added a window. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, come on, like.
I gotta go. Nice seeing you here.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's good to see you.
Have a good one.
All right. Oh, it did add it. It's just over here after all this other junk. Oh my God, collaborate. RIP, collaborate. All right. So you can take the telemetry viewer, and what you can do is you can lock one of the inspector windows, but not the other one, and then switch back to the other non-locked window and select a bunch of other things, and you've still got your telemetry selected. So there are various reasons you'd want to have that on-draw gizmo selected thing. Yes.
Final question?
I'm sorry.
I think there's in the newer versions of Unity, there's also a properties window they call that's locked by default. So
oh, cool. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
Sweet.
All right. So, Jeremy, thank you so much for your contributions to education, our community, and for this awesome talk. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Can I show extension methods for half a second?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay. So just so you can look into it, extension methods. It has to be a static class, but you can take anything and say, so here, I have a one for vector 3, which should be around here somewhere, where you can say, oh, okay, here. So static string. I want to normalize line endings. So you say public static string, normalize line endings, this string, and that makes it an extension method, and then you set what line ending you want it to be, and it will replace any of these line endings with the one you want. And the way that you call this is any string, you say the name of that string variable dot normalize line endings, and it will spit out the normalized version of it, right? So anyway, extension methods are super killer and useful. And I'm done now.
Has anyone used GameObject.find? A really useful one is GameObject.find ancestor, which you can get to recursively go down and find the object you want instead of just one level down. That's awesome. But awesome. Thank you again, Jeremy.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's go ahead and we've got about 20 minutes until 10 p.m. I'm not entirely sure when the alarms go off in this place.
It's after 10 because I didn't take us out last time.
Is it after 10?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll take about 20 minutes or so. Please do some networking if you want, to say hi to people near you. And then we will head out and go find some food, okay? All right. Yes.
Oh man.
Thank you everybody for joining us on Twitch, and thank you for everybody for joining us on Discord. I look forward to seeing you all again next month for another IGDA event. Otherwise, talk to you all later. Off to attend whenever.